Are we on the air?
And we're back. This is Third Coast Radio. I'm your host, Kamikaze, the Kingmaker. I'm in here with the cool kids, Dreon Santana, Kayla Renee, and House of Mars. We got all the cool kids in here at one time. Wow. It's such a thing now that when y'all are actually all here, you get to actually say, yeah.
Please let the word know.
Yeah, well, I just did. They're all here. Everybody's here. Everybody's present and accounted for. You just heard Matador by Empty Atlas, the new single by Empty Atlas, and as promised, not only are you going to hear them on the radio, hear the song, we've actually got someone from Empty Atlas in the building. Y'all make some noise for Micah Smith and Empty Atlas in the building.
Good to be back.
There he is. Yes, you guys have been on here before. The last time that you had a release, talking about the things that Empty Atlas has going on. So, I mean, you're here representing the band.
Yeah.
Shouts out to, well, not shouts out, but, get well.
Yeah.
So,
we had a guy get a root canal. Our guitar player just recently moved to Nashville. So he's doing that whole thing. Although he's still in the band and everything, it's good, but it's crazy.
That's great. We had a band in here. We had Kicking in here last week, and they were talking about their drummers and having to switch out drummers and all those kind of things. So we'll talk about that in 1 second. But at any rate, how's the new single doing? Matador, you dropped it on us the last time that you were here, so it had some time to grow some legs. So tell us about the new single, man. What's been happening with it since you were here last?
Yeah, it's been really cool. I mean, I'm not trying to oversell it or anything, but it's probably our best performing launch of anything we put out, which is pretty cool. And it's got some radio play in a few different places. I know somebody sent me a video like maybe 2 days ago saying it was getting played in Ohio, and I was like, I don't know anybody in Ohio. So I was like, that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's been really cool, and then since then we put out 2 more singles that are kind of all part of this upcoming release. I could talk a little bit about, but we're in the middle of working on a bunch of stuff right now.
So what do you feel like you did? You said this is one of your best releases, or if not the best release to date. What do you feel like you guys did differently internally this time to get the reaction that you got?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's really nice when it's one song and we can put all our heart behind that one song, and we spent a lot of time on that. Did a music video that we're super proud of that we got to shoot over at the state fairgrounds and everything. They gave us permission to do that, and it was really cool. And a guy named Jake Slinker did that, who's a super talented dude, based here in Jackson. And I mean, just being able to get to focus all your energy on making sure something is successful as it can be, just creatively and promotion-wise, is a big deal, because not everybody gets to do that. And I'm sure, it's not like we've been able to even do that with these following singles nearly as much. So it was really cool to kind of come out the gate doing that. And it was also, it was our first new music since the album in 2020. So, it's hopefully people are still kind of begging for more music, and if not begging, just willing to hear it.
Well, coming out of COVID, it was weird for everybody, and I think you were kind of here around that time as well. And you guys were creatively putting some things together during COVID. So you talked about, one of the band members actually moving out of town, and not close, by the way. Nashville is about 6 hours away from us right here, maybe closer for some of our friends in North Mississippi. But how does that dynamic work with someone, leaving and still being a part of the band, but being, so far away, at least driving so far away?
I'll be honest, I was really worried about it at first. That it's one thing when it's a bigger band. They got the resources to fly people wherever they need to and all that stuff. And we're still a baby band. We're just getting started in a lot of ways. And I was kind of worried about it. But honestly, we were able to track a new single. We put out a cover of "I Can't Make You Love Me," if you know that song. I mean, it's kind of an old favorite of ours, and we had talked about doing it for forever. We actually did that while our guitar player was moving. And I was like, well, that's a crazy idea. I don't know why we're trying to do this, but he was able to record his parts there and stuff. We were still really collaborative. We're on the phone a lot, doing FaceTime and all that stuff. And it's been just as collaborative, and it's really cool. And I mean, he's got Mississippi roots, like crazy. He's from Tennessee originally, but he's been here for forever, so he's always back and forth.
Right.
He's got family here. He's Mississippi.
So technology, of course, makes it easy to record. That's the easy part.
Oh yeah.
But when you guys going out doing shows, I'm pretty sure. How do y'all plan on handling that?
I mean, really, it's kind of gratefully in a good spot. We've been doing more and more shows kind of regionally anyway, and so we've been able to sort of make plans around that. You know, back in March we did a tour run. It was probably one of the longer tour runs we've done, and kind of going all throughout the Southeast and going up a little bit. And our label that we work with is based in Charlotte, North Carolina, so we had to play up there for the first time. Mm-hmm. And you know, he's able to make time for that, and just thankfully we've kind of been keeping at that since then, and playing a lot more regionally than anything. I mean, it does make it harder to get, like, you know, on the coast. We used to play on the coast quite a lot, so we're doing a little less of that. But I mean, we're still doing a lot.
What parts of the coast are you on?
Honestly, we were in Mobile a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah, their music scene is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty nuts. I wish they got more attention, but then again, I wish Jackson got more attention. So, you know, maybe that's a blessing, is that we can all kind of come up at once.
That's part of the Third Coast.
Yeah.
Part of the Third Coast.
Oh yeah. It's great down there though. We're playing a festival in a little later in October called The Fest. It's a really, really big festival. We got lucky enough to get put on in Gainesville, Florida, so we'll be down there soon. Yeah.
Shout out to Florida, man.
Yeah.
It's hot over there.
Oh, it is.
We've known each other for a while,
Yes,
and I've always been amazed at how you write your music and how creative you are in your writing process. So you give us a little preview of how you do that, and how you sit down and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna write this little song right here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Thank you, first of all. So it's. I mean, I'm often. I don't think I'm that different than a lot of people. But you know, I do typically start kind of with a concept for a song before I hear anything else, and I feel like even it's not necessarily narrative songwriting, but I try to tell stories when I'm doing. The pandemic has been. Yeah, you're in trouble now. I got distracted. It's my fault. I ruined it. So I'll kind of start with sometimes like a lyric idea or just a song title, even just sort of chase that and go, what does that make me think of? What's the story? Who am I talking about? Often, obviously, it's like somewhat autobiographical, but I'll sort of chase that rabbit and see where it takes me and try to write a song that tells a really complete story, even before I bring it to the guys. And then honestly, like from there, it's like I'll sort of have a general structure for the song and a pretty good idea of the melody and pretty much every part of it. But then the guys will come in and write their own stuff. I mean, our drummer, Bobby Hansford, Robert Craig Hansford, he's a songwriter, and he's incredible on drums. So he'll take what I brought, and then I'm like, oh, I never would have thought to do that, and he's just so creative that way, and all the guys are that way. Brendan Michael White, our guitarist, he's truly like an insane like music theory person, and I do not have that kind of background like he has.
Yeah.
So it's just great. And then Alex Ingram's our bass player, and he's got like a really good production background, and he's been recording music longer than most of us. And so it's just, everybody brings their own things to the table and kind of turns it into Empty Atlas. Honestly, without each of the guys, it's not really an Empty Atlas song.
Right.
Cool. So speaking of songwriting, Short Fiction was the first song that you guys wrote together and shot the video for it together. So how have you guys grown since that single was released?
It's really interesting because I don't know that, at the beginning of anything, you're trying to figure out what it is a little bit. And even though, like, I think if you listen back to any Empty Atlas songs from the start, even before these guys played with me, I think there's always been like a pretty clear line between the songs. But at the start of us writing together was a little bit going like, well, how do we mesh all of our sound? There's no discussion of that anymore. It's just so clearly like, oh no, it's us. It always sounds like us. And like, thankfully, I feel like we never write the same song twice, so it always feels really fresh to me. Otherwise, I think I'd be tired of it. But but it always sounds like us, no matter what we're doing. And we're writing a lot of new stuff and just trying to raise money to record it, honestly. And I'm really excited about these songs. These are ones we pretty differently than usual. Like some of it starts with a guitar part from Brennan, way more than we've ever done. There's a couple songs that really started with drum parts that, I don't know, that's first for us. We don't typically do that. So there's some really exciting stuff that's coming up and ready to record it for sure.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
So of course we're kind of like basically towards the end of the year, and there may be a lot of goals that you may have had, you guys with the band in like January. Mm-hmm. So from now considered to be October, all the way up until the last day in December. What did you guys say was like your end of the year goal? Like, what is something that you like have to accomplish before 2023?
Yeah. Thankfully, we've kind of been doing it. Like, before this point, we pretty much had only put out singles if we were about to put out an album. And not that we don't have the album written and ready to record, but like these singles we've been putting out, it was kind of a different thing for us. Again, it was after Matador, it was a little bit testing the waters and going, can we do this as sort of a single first kind of thing? Obviously, music industry's changed and people don't listen to albums the way they do. And you can look, on our album Kairos that we put out, and it's funny. I've talked to people who, they would call themselves fans and have listened to the album, but they'll message me and be like, I'm only like just now really hearing like the last song on the album. I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, it's been 2 years. So but that's just the way people listen to music now. Sometimes it's like, are you going to sit there and listen for 40 minutes for a whole album? Probably not. So hopefully it can kind of keep proving successful for us. But like the single stuff has been doing good and been a really nice kind of growing period for us.
So you talked a little bit about a label that you guys are working with. Charlotte, North Carolina. So, we talk to artists on here a lot about, independence and the pitfalls of the music industry. And of course, we of course champion independent music here. So talk a little bit to the people who might be interested that are in bands. Talk a little bit about, why you feel, aligning yourself with this label was a good move. How much creative control do you still have? You talked about, raising money still to be able to record and do those things. So clearly you're trying to maintain some type of autonomy. So, describe what that partnership is like and the benefits and the downfalls of that.
Yeah, so Carved from Stone Records it's really like a brand new record label. Only started, this is kind of cool. We got reached out to by the owner of it, Jake Woodard, quite a while back. We were just finishing up recording our album Kairos, and he reached out and he didn't know what we were working on or anything, and he just was asking questions about the band, and we started talking. He's even younger than me. He's a young dude, but he's super ambitious and just like one of the nicest people you ever meet. And he was like, well, so I've got a label that I'm just getting started up. Before that point, he had only put out a couple different re-releases of stuff based in the North Carolina area, and he's like, and I want to branch out in a way that's really weird and bring in some bands that I just feel pretty passionate about. And he found our music and had been listening to it, and I was like, I'm just curious where you're gonna go and what your plans are. Turns out we were pretty well aligned with him. So Kairos was the first original music that he had put out through Carved from Stone Records. So we're the first band he signed. So it's still very new. Like I would, I'd say we still very much qualify as an independent act. It's a partnership. I even said, like, the other day on a podcast that I was doing, it was like a handshake agreement. Even like we didn't sign anything. It's just good people willing to work together. Hopefully we're good people too, but he's good people. And it's been really great. And since then he's signed 2 more bands. A band called Northern Weather, spaced up Michigan, Wisconsin, I can't remember. And then a band that's in the Charlotte area called Den of Wolves that's way heavier than us. So it's a pretty good mixture of stuff that he's gotten started. So yeah, it's been really cool. I'll say this too. For anybody who's like wanting to sign with a record label, it's not like it's a bad thing. And ours has been a great situation because it really is just, we're still independent. We still get to do whatever we want to do. And thankfully Jake's just behind us, and he's got a little bit of help with some volunteer people over at Carved from Stone. And but a lot of times people want a record label to be some kind of solution for things. Correct. And that's not the answer. That's never the answer. Think of it like this. A record label often is going to be your loan. You know this very well, better than I know this. Yeah. But it's basically a loan, and you're taking out a loan, and they're expecting them investing that loan in you for them to get more money back in interest. So if your job is just to keep putting out music, which ours is, that's all I want to do. I want to keep putting out better and better music every time we put out anything. I never want to go backwards. So a label's not that interested in that. They just want to recoup every single time and make more money back. Right. So that's not what I'm really here for. It's not that it's not a business, and I'm going to run it like a business because I want to be professional, and all the guys would agree with me on that. But at the same time, it's like we do this because we love it, And I can't say that about some of the huge record labels.
Right.
They'll sign, 40, 50 artists, but the reality is they're not going to put money behind all of them. They're wanting you to prove yourself and you to do the work so that they can basically go, okay, you're worth the investment. Now we'll put a little bit of effort behind you. So don't wait for a record label to do what you want to do.
There you go. That is fantastic advice. So when we come back, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to have our Live from Studio A segment, and Micah is going to do an Empty Atlas number for us live
right now
in the studio. And not to put any pressure on you, but your entire band is going to be watching, so and listening. So you better make sure you come through. But anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got Micah Smith of Empty Atlas.